AITA for refusing to pump for my MIL. So I am a first-time mom and this whole experience has been very overwhelming for me. My wonderful baby just hit 3 months and is officially no longer a newborn. I have been lucky enough that I have good supply, so my baby girl is exclusively breastfeed except for the any excess that we use when my husband does her night feeds. I have made it very clear to most of our friends and family that I don't want anyone but me or my husband feeding her. My MIL has been slightly annoyed, bordering on judgmental about this, but has mostly kept her mouth shut. We have never had any issues in the past, so I just chalked it up to her wanting to bond with the baby. I might allow it when she's older, but for now I'm not comfortable with anyone else doing it. So we were over at my and SIL house for her son's birthday, and while all the cousins and husbands played outside, me and all the ladies sat inside playing past the baby. She ends up in my MIL arms and begins to fuss and make her hungry cry. I stood up and went to take her before she pulled her back and told me to go make a bottle. I told her no, that I would go to the guest room and feed her. My sister-in-law stood to and said she had some formula and would make it for me. I refused again and quickly took my baby, saying she's never had formula and I don't want her to be sick. My MIL sighs and rolls her eyes and asks, "Why don't you just pump some so I can feed my baby?" I must have been visibly horrified because one of my other SILs stood and tried to guide me away by my shoulder. I took her to the other room to feed her and sat in there with her for the rest of the party. The sister-in-law whose party it was came to find me. I almost hit her when she said, "Don't you think it's a little selfish you won't let mom feed the baby? You could have just pumped a couple ounces for her." I said I will never pump anything for anyone because I'm not a cow, and she's my baby. She declared I was being witchy and walked away. My husband doesn't know this is all happening, but on the ride home, his mother and 2 of the other wives texted me to tell me it was unfair to hog my baby and to make it so she couldn't bond with anyone else, and that I should have just pumped before I came so I didn't have to hide her away. My MIL specifically said that I was being so selfish with her only granddaughter, and it wasn't fair to her that she couldn't even feed her baby. I just texted back that it wasn't her baby and put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I know I should tell my husband, but I don't want to add more strain as he and his mother are still trying to heal their relationship from when they had a big fight a couple years ago. I don't want to cause drama, but I'm starting to feel very guilty, especially since I'm still getting tons of texts about how cruel I'm being. Am I the AH for refusing to pump for my MIL? Edit. Small bit of context. My little sister choked whilst being fed by our great aunt and almost died. She hadn't been holding her properly and my sister had to be rushed to the hospital. I was very young, but the memory is still very fresh in my mind even when my husband is feeding our baby. I never want my baby to be unsafe while being fed, and I worry about other people feeding her because of this. Edit 2. I have absolutely nothing against formula, and I absolutely would have supplemented if needed. I ended up getting very lucky to have adequate supply for my baby. Formula is necessary for so many mothers out there, and while breast is technically better, I don't think anyone should be shamed for needing to use formula or choosing not to breastfeed. My daughter's pediatrician told me he prefers I keep her on breast milk as long as I can, and that formula could potentially lead to her getting stomach upset. Edit 3. Is my husband a mommy's boy? And can he resolve the fight he had with his mother? Luckily he's not. He resolved the fight because he missed his dad and his siblings and wanted the baby to have grandparents. He's never gone into details about the fight, but he's certainly not at her beck and call like his brothers are.
Relevant comment. Commenter, NTA. They actively got bonding time. What do they think holding the baby is? Bonding time. Feeding a baby is not the only way to bond with them. Neither of my daughters took a bottle. My parents still bonded with her plenty. I actually think they only ever gave a handful of bottles to my son because I was pretty adamant on the beginning about being the only one to give him a bottle once a night. He nursed every other feeding, since my husband was gone for training and couldn't have that experience. My son is a total Grammy's boy at almost 5 years old. My middle is a complete papa's girl at almost 2. They didn't need to feed them bottles in order to create the bond they have with them. My daughter actually was not fond of my dad until she was about 10 months old. She would scream if he even looked at her. Sounds like MIL and your SILs are just boundary stompers and have zero respect for you.
OP. I guess all the other wives have let her feed their babies. My husband had 4 brothers and 1 sister, and of them all I'm the only one who's had a girl. It's been a whole fuss, and I've already let her have so much more time with baby than I would have liked. My FIL couldn't care less and doesn't even want to hold her, but he's not a baby guy. It's also hard because I don't have my parents in my life, so I want her to have grandparents and I want to keep the peace. Update. So after everyone's suggestions, I decided I was going to talk to my husband when he go home from work. I put baby down to sleep before initially posting, and I posted because of all the messages from Mil and Sills. Apparently his oldest brother's wife had called him today at work and told him what my mother had said and what the other wives had said when I left the room. We sat at the kitchen table and I had him read the messages from start to finish. He was upset with me at first for keeping it from him, then hugged me and said he hated that I had to go through this alone. He went upstairs to call his mother. He told me after about 10 minutes on the phone that until baby is a year, Mil will have minimal contact, as well as his sister not being allowed around the baby either. He told me to block both their numbers for the time being, and so I did. He also told me that their fight 2 years ago was over his mother trying to get him back with his ex right after he proposed to me, and that's why they stopped talking for the rest of that year. He said he told his mother that if she pushes for more next time we give her an opportunity, that it would be her last chance at a granddaughter. This has all progressed so quickly and everyone was right about talking to my husband. I wish I had gone right to him when it happened, but I was so worried to put more strain. Thank you for all the advice. Update 2. Hubby got home early tonight and we checked my phone together. Messages totaled out to Mil, 14 voicemail, 23 calls, 67 texts. Sil, 8 Facebook messages, 4 phone calls, 17 texts. Fil, but clearly from Mil, 4 more voicemail, 5 calls, and 31 texts. I let my husband handle them as I didn't feel like reading them while already feeling so stressed about it. Afterwards he took about an hour to calm down in the basement. The messages, from what little he did feel comfortable telling me, were about how I was tearing the family apart with my selfish behavior, and why do I even bring baby around if I don't want them bonding with her. The one voicemail was 20 or so minutes long and it was apparently just her talking about how all the kids are both BF and formula fed so grandma can help and I'm depriving myself of her assistance. I heard part of her rant saying how she knows best because she had 6 kids and 7/8 at the same time, and that me being so particular is going to make other babies impossible for me. Which is unfair because she wants 2 granddaughters and I'm the only one that can give them to her. My girl is the first girl baby, and all 12 of her cousins are boys. Husband made one phone call and told her if she is going to just drain my phone battery she will permanently blocked from my phone. I called my OB today to talk about possibly getting a consult for a therapist to talk about my potential PPA. While I'm sure this situation certainly is adding to it, I want to be as healthy as I can for my baby. Update 3. So since this all started, my husband had fully cut contact with all but his oldest brother and his wife. The rest of his siblings and in-laws were all firmly on Mil's side. Everything has been peaceful aside from the occasional phone cord from an unknown number. He spoke with his mother in person one time while I was at a checkup for baby. He told her that he is uncomfortable with her being in our and the baby's life while she's treating me this way. He said that she cried and tried to switch blame onto me about the situation, which he refused. She has shown up once or twice just to leave gifts for baby. I have eased up a bit on my anxiety and have had 2 therapy appointments so far. I am very lucky as my job gave me an extension for maternity leave. I talked to baby's ped and he recommended a good brand of formula for us to have on hand for any emergency. I appreciate all the support and I apologize for the underwhelming update. I don't think my Mil is necessarily a bad person, but she's used to getting her ways, especially with her family and the other women. I may update again if anything else drastic happens, but baby is happy and healthy and meeting all her milestones and I couldn't be more thrilled.